Hi guys, welcome to another Brushmaster video. Today the video is a very much an unscripted and live review video of some palette paper which has been sent to me by Krydrufi. The people who make the all-in-one art box that I reviewed a little while ago. Krydrufi, not Krydrufi, so Krydrufi. So they very kindly asked me if I would test their new palette paper, which is designed and sized especially for the little small wet palette that comes with the art box that they did a Kickstarter for very recently. So I've got the palette here, and I've opened one of the packs of paper. Now, what the paper says is it's disposable paint mixing palette paper, save you time and reduce hassle, as smooth as mixing on glass and plastic palettes. So let's have a look at that if we can. So the palette is nice and thin, and I can see it has got a bit of a glossy effect on each side, but there's no one way or the other, so I take it either side is fine, and we're just going to sit that in there and see what we come up with. I have my palette quite wet when I paint, guys, so because I'm in a very hot country and it dries up very quickly here. But what we want to do here, the one negative straight away I would say is this would be way too small for me, this palette. But in terms of something portable, like I said before, for the art box, then it's absolutely great. So if this paper's any good, I'll be contacting them and seeing if they can make it in different sizes for different palettes, because I've struggled with palette paper over the years, and I've never really found a pre-cut one that works good for me. So this is going to be something new that we can try, and hopefully it'll do the job. Now, one thing what I do think you have to be careful with when you're working in a very small palette like this is to not put too much paint on the palette, because if you get any flow to it, it's going to be very hard to control. So we're just going to put a little tiny bit on, and we'll give that a good mix. I'm going to wet my brush, so we give that a nice little mix, and that seems to be floating on the top of the paper very nicely. It's a very nice consistency. So we would then be painting with that paint. So let's try another little test that I like to do with wet palettes, because I find white paint seems to be the fastest drying for me for some reason. I don't know how you guys find it, but I tend to find anything that's quite whitish, and this is ivory, tends to dry pretty quickly for me. So we're just going to mix a bit of that up with the blue, which is really nice. And we'll also put a little bit in the middle here. Mix up like that, and we're going to thin that down with some water to a nice consistency, and see what happens with that paper. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the lid back on the palette. It's all sitting on top of the paper very nicely, I will say that. Doesn't seem to be any chance of putting it through the paper, or pushing through the paper, or it breaking up, which is a good sign, which I've had from papers before. So let's put the lid on there, and we'll leave that for an hour or two, and we'll come back and then we'll see what state that paint is in then. Be back in a moment, guys. Right then, we're back with the Krydrufi wet palette, and it's now 4:15 5 here, so this has been left unopened for 2 hours now. So let's see what we got. Looks okay. So as you can see, our paints have stayed very wet, very nice on the palette, still very usable. And even the very light mix, the wash or glaze, is still the same consistency. So I think the paper's a thumbs up from me. It works very nice. There's no seepage, there's no movement, and certainly, like I said, when I'm scrubbing on the paper, it's not breaking up or tearing like some papers do. It's quite sturdy, and it is a nice finish to it. My original colours there are still there, and pretty nice. So yeah, I would certainly recommend this as working very nicely. So there you go, guys. It's a thumbs up from me. I'll just be talking to Krydrufi to see if they can make some bigger versions of this paper for my my palette is the Exemplar palette, which I use normally, which you can see just here. If I can get them in bigger sizes, they would be pretty good, I think. They work nicely. So there you go, guys. It's all good.